A stranger kept bumping into me. Until I realized he wasn't a stranger. At all, I don't usually write on here, but I've been replaying last night over and over, and I need to get it out somewhere. My name's Maya, I'm 23, and I live in Fort Collins, Colorado. It's not a massive city, but big enough that you don't know everybody, and small enough that faces eventually start to stick if you go out a lot. That's partly why what happened is eating me alive. I can't shake the feeling that it wasn't just random. It started like nothing. I was leaving work at a coffee shop downtown, right on College Avenue. It was around 8:30 p.m., and I was tired, just thinking about getting home, eating leftovers, and zoning out. I stopped at King Soopers, the grocery store I always hit up, to grab some milk. Normal night. As I was leaving the store, juggling my bag, a guy bumped into me near the sliding doors. His shoulder hit mine, hard enough to make me stumble a little. He muttered a quick, "Sorry," and kept walking fast. I barely caught his face. Dark jacket, short hair, nothing out of the ordinary. Stuff like that happens all the time, so I brushed it off. But 10 minutes later, on Main Street, it happened again. Same guy, same shoulder bump, same rushed, "Sorry." This time I actually froze for a second because it was too identical to be coincidence. Still, I shook it off. Told myself maybe I'd just crossed paths with him again. By the third time, outside, a corner gas station, I couldn't pretend it wasn't weird. I remember clutching my bag tighter because the bump felt deliberate, like he wanted me to notice. Same muttered "sorry," no eye contact, just walked on like I was invisible. Slowed down, letting him get ahead. But when I rounded the next block, there he was again. He wasn't walking this time. He was leaning against the wall of a shuttered bookstore, head down, hands in his pockets. As soon as he saw me, he pushed off the wall and started walking, straight, in my direction. And yeah, he bumped me again, harder this time, almost sending my phone flying. I was rattled. My heart was racing, but I didn't want to look like I was scared. I snapped, "Dude, what the hell?" But he didn't even answer. Just muttered that same flat "sorry," and drifted past like I wasn't worth acknowledging. At that point, I crossed the street. I figured if I changed my route, I'd shake him. I even ducked into another shop just to waste time. But when I came out, I caught his reflection in the glass window across the street. He wasn't walking away like before. He was watching me. Not his surroundings. Me. That's when something shifted in my gut. Fear? Yeah. But also something else. Something like familiarity. Like I'd seen him before but couldn't place where. Sped up, cutting through side streets. I thought I'd lost him until I turned onto a quieter road, near an old furniture store that shut down years ago. He was there, standing dead center in the sidewalk like he'd been waiting for me. I told myself to keep walking, act unbothered. But as I passed, I finally got a full look at his face, and everything inside me froze, because I knew him. Not from town, not from anywhere recent, from years ago. The summer I turned 9, my mom sent me to stay with my grandmother in Wichita Falls, Texas. Next door to her lived a guy who was always around the neighborhood. Friendly, talkative, sometimes brought over peaches from his yard. He must have been in his 20s back then. I remembered his face because kids notice things adults don't. Like how he always seemed to watch me a second too long. Or how his smile didn't quite reach his eyes. And then one summer, he vanished. Everyone said he'd moved away. My grandma never mentioned him again. That was 15 years ago. But the man standing in front of me on Main Street? He hadn't aged a day. Same face, same eyes, even the same way his hair fell across his forehead. My chest tightened. I must have looked like I'd seen a ghost, because his lips curved into the faintest smile. Not friendly. More like recognition. like he'd been expecting me. I stumbled back, and before I could say anything, a car screeched around the corner. The driver wasn't paying attention. I tried to jump out of the way, but it clipped me hard on the side. My head hit the pavement, and everything went black. When I came to, I was in the ER. Nothing life-threatening. Concussion, bruised ribs, stitches above my eyebrow. My manager had apparently been called from my phone, and she'd driven me there. The first thing I asked when I woke up wasn't about my injuries. It was there a man? Did anyone see him? Nobody had. According to my manager, people only saw me step into the road and get clipped. No one noticed anyone else standing there. But while I was drifting in and out of sleep, I had flashes. Not dreams. Memories. Of Wichita Falls. Of being 9 years old. Of that man standing in my grandmother's yard, smiling as he handed me a peach. I hadn't thought about that in years, but it came back with crystal clarity. And with it, the same cold pit in my stomach I felt back then. The hospital discharged me the next morning, and I went home. I should have let it go. Told myself it was my brain mixing trauma and memory. But when I checked my bag, something made me stop cold. The carton of milk I'd bought at King Soopers was gone. In its place was a small peach, perfectly ripe. No note. Nothing else. Just a peach. And that's when I knew he hadn't just been in my head. He'd been there. He was real. Since then, I can't stop replaying it. Why hasn't he aged? Why show up now? Why me? And how the hell did he put that peach in my bag when I was unconscious on the pavement? I don't have answers. All I know is that his smile that night didn't feel like chance. It felt like a reminder. A message I was meant to understand, but don't yet. And I can't shake the feeling that this isn't over. That sooner or later he's going to bump into me again. And next time, he won't walk away.